Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. I wanted to give you my thoughts after the Tigers lose the third and final game of their series at Minnesota. They get swept by the Twins, and I guess in the big scheme of things, it doesn't look so bad because the Twins are first place and the Tigers are last place in the AL Central, so it is what it is. But an interesting trend, I should say. One of my viewers, Steve, thanks Steve, he was telling me about the momentum, right? And since starting with last season, the end of last season, over the last 28 games now for the Tigers, they're 9-19, and over 27 games, I think, 29 games, for the Twins, they're 17-12. So 10 games below 500 for the Tigers over that stretch, 5 games above for Minnesota. Obviously, the Twins are playing better baseball than the Tigers. And the big underlying problem the Tigers are having this year is lack of power and lack of consistent hitting. For example, Game 1, they lost 5-4. Javi Baez actually drove in all 4 runs for the Tigers, hit a big 3-run home run in the top of the 8th, only to see the Tigers' defense commit 2 errors and give away the win. I'm not saying Minnesota wouldn't have won it, but the throwing error by the catcher in the pickle, there you go, Minnesota, here's a free win for you. Obviously, it should have been bases loaded with 1 out, but instead the catcher made a terrible throw to third and 2 runs scored. They win the game. Being down 4-3, they win 5-4. Defense is just becoming a problem, too. I mean, obviously they had the errors that gave away the game Monday. Today's afternoon game, they had 4 errors. So of the 7 runs they gave up, only 4 of them were earned, 3 were unearned. Skubal pitched relatively pretty well in the big scheme of things, but he gets the loss. And then today, the Tigers can't seem to figure out what they want, but the underlying current is their offense is just not potent. Today they get 11 hits, 1 run. It seems like every time they're getting a hit, basically it's a single, right? And so you have to basically get 3 hits, back to back to back, whatever, to get a run home. Just 1 run. Like, they're not getting doubles, they're not getting triples, they're not getting home runs. It's just you're giving up singles, and you can tell they're not doing very well offensively, scoring runs that way. Then if they can't even get hits, they get 2 hit versus in the middle game, they lose that game 5-0. So offense is a problem, big problem. I don't know. There was always the adage that the Tigers struggle because you have your Central Americans or South American players, or the Venezuelans and the Cubans or whatever, and people from warm climates, and they struggle when they come up here from Florida. They do their spring ball in Florida, come up to Michigan, and it's cold. But I don't see how that works because you know what? There's a lot of different nationalities on all the baseball teams, and you know what? Minnesota had no problem hitting home runs. Minnesota had no problem scoring runs. Maybe it's just because the Tigers aren't that good of a team. Maybe that's what I'm realizing here. The Tigers are not really that good of a team. There was hopes that Detroit would maybe have that little edge, take that next step. Become a team that's going to finish above 500. And now that seems very unlikely. You look at this team, and several players last year had career years, and they don't seem to be able to do that again this year. At least does not look like it. Now, you just lose 3 games in a row. Minnesota completely outplayed in most of it. Outside of a Baez home run, they've only, outside of that, they had 2 runs outside of his 3-run home run for 3 games. 2 runs in 3 games outside of that 3-run home run. Not very good. And you know who they get next? On the road at the LA Dodgers, who are outstanding, who are the World Series betting favorite, I would estimate. And yeah, they're just going to get crushed. And it's not even going to be close. At least that's my estimation. I think the Tigers are in a tailspin now. This is their, 5th straight loss. I would expect it to be 8 by the time they come back home. And they're at 6-12 now. They lose, they're 6-15, and basically by the end of May, by the start of May, that's not going to cut it. And what seemed like a potential for being a step forward season seems like now more of a step back season, honestly. I know it's only 1 month, but the offense is not potent. The pitching is okay, but you can't win games if you're not scoring any runs. And eventually you're just going to tax the bullpen too much. And you're going to have those games where the pitchers are not pitching well. The bullpen's going to struggle eventually, maybe especially when they reduce the roster sizes down a couple here. And I think May 2 they have to chop off a couple pitchers. So it'll be interesting to see who the Tigers send down and how that affects their relatively very strong bullpen. So, just what it is. Those are my foolish thoughts. If you have any of your own, please put them in the comments below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Thanks again for watching, and until I see you guys next time, as always, go Tigers and go Blue!